Getting ready to set the eyes. Since I've worked nearly a lifetime learning the trade of taxidermy, I wanted to pass it on to my grandkids. So Stephen got a really old buck antelope, and so I'm going to work on helping him learn how to mount it. We will use some just plain potter's clay to build up around the eyes and places we need a little bit of fill. It's cheap and works well. Some reference pictures are important to get these eyes set just right. We need to build up around them with the clay and have them look realistic as possible. Much care needs to be taken to get this right, and reference pictures are a must at this step to give him some character and make him look lifelike. So we'll spend a little bit of time doing this, and if it doesn't look right, we'll take it apart and do it again till it. There are a few other products that can be used for this. One of them is Critter's Clay, which can be bought from a taxidermist supply. And the taxidermist supply we use is Research Mannequins at Lebanon, Oregon. And it's close enough that we can drive down there and get what we need and save on the freight. These forms, which are made out of styrofoam mixture, are made right at Lebanon, and I even know some of the guys that sculpture these, and they're very, very good at that. These are an excellent form. The idea of this is to make them look as lifelike as possible, so you need a really good sculpturist to sculpture these forms, and a Research Mannequins, they definitely have that. We used to use old forms made out of a paper mache, and they weren't nearly as good as the new modern ones. Taxidermy has gone a long ways in the last few years. Yeah, there now, that's starting to look better. Bring this down just a little bit here. There. With the use of some reference photos, Stephen is getting this eye to give this antelope some character and also making look like. Okay, now there's your measure. We're about pretty darn good. Yeah. We have purchased some measuring devices to measure the eye socket. Just a little bit right in there. Get it really good. They are again sculptured by experts that really know their stuff on this. Okay, right. Looking good. Now I'll get back and look to see that they look right. They do. Okay, now Stephen will get the nose ready to go on him. And we will soon be ready to put the cape on it. You have to carve out a little bit of the foam in the nostril itself, and so Stephen will do that now, and Then the lips have to be carved out so you can shove the skin up in it to hold. And this doesn't take but a few minutes to do these few little things, and you can customize it to what you like. We will next fit the hide on and see how it looks, and it seems to look like it's fitting darn good. So Stephen will start sewing it up, and we're using a real long needle that we buy from Research Mannequins, and also we're using fairly heavy thread. Sometimes we get this thread through a hobby place and they call it artificial sinew. It's like a whole bunch of strands of dental floss wrapped together, and then it's waxed. So I enjoy using the wax thread, and I like the really heavy stuff, the artificial sinew. An antelope is a very small animal, so it only takes a little while to sew it up. Now Stephen will start tucking the lips in. We cut a little groove in the mouth of the form with it slanting upward, and then the skin we left on the lips will be tucked up in there to give it a very natural, realistic look. We've put a hide paste on the form to stick the hide to it as it dries, and that seems to do a pretty good job of it. Now we just have to pay attention to hair patterns and the different features like the mouth and the nose and the eyes, and continuously adjust them. When we get the nose about to where we want it, we'll shove a piece of paper towel up into the nostril part where we've cut out extra for it, and this will hold the skin in place while it dries. The paper towel seems to work really well for this. We have to continuously adjust these different features like the eyes and the ears and the nose and the mouth, and then the next day I'll take care of what's left to the finishing and the final adjustments. Since Stephen had to go to work today, it's my job to do some of the final adjustments the next day. At this point, it's very important to pay particular attention to all the hair patterns and the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So I'll go over all those things on the mount, and this is what makes or breaks a good mount. So I'm doing a little bit of the follow-up since he couldn't be here today, and this the taxidermy skill was in it's been in my family for several generations. My great-grandpa was a taxidermist right after the Civil War in Michigan, and so I've tried to carry it on, and now I'm trying to pass it on to my grandsons. And so I'm trying to teach him the taxidermy thing. It's not real easy to learn, but he's coming along pretty good on it after mounting this antelope yesterday. And there's always a little bit of follow-up needs to be done for a few days afterwards, so I'm doing that since he had to go to work. And okay, there now.
Okay.
This was an extremely old buck antelope, and he didn't have real long horns because they shed the sheath off the horn every year, and if they're on good feed they grow a real long sheath, and if they're not on good feed, it isn't as long. And so this animal, even though the feed may have been pretty good, his teeth were worn out to where he could barely eat since he was so old. And he never got around to polishing the hair off his horn here. There's hair all the way up here on the horn. So that's a little different than most all antelope. These antelope are a very nice animal to work on. They've got such big, long, great eyelashes and hair patterns, and so we want to make sure we emphasize all of them. I have to continuously adjust these, and the eyes are glass eyes. It was a set of glass eyes like this that sort of got me into taxidermy. They were left from my great-grandpa, and that was the only thing I got that was his, since I never saw him. And I don't know when the eyes were made, how long he'd had them or anything. They could have been from back in the 1870s or 1860s. And so I saw those moose eyes and I thought, wow, I'd sure like to do this. So I finally learned the ins and outs of this business and started doing it on my own. And so what I'm doing now is just straightening out the hair patterns and see that there's no place where the hide has separated from the form. We call that drumming. And so this is like the day after I did my grandson did the mount on this animal. My grandson and I did it, and so it's looking good. I think it's going to be really nice mount. He seems to have been pretty particular about it, and which you definitely have to be. It's not something you can do in 5 minutes. It takes quite a bit of time and effort. It's pretty hard work. You have to stretch on these hides really hard and get them into shape, and then all of it is sewed up. And so I'm checking to see that there's no place where the hide's separated. We call it drumming. And let's see, I gotta get this eyelash up here. They've got such great eyelashes that we want to make sure that we can see them and that they're in the right place, as well as the eye. The eye explains a lot on these. It was just a simple set of eyes like these. These are glass eyes, and we buy them from a local taxidermy supply, and they haven't changed a whole lot since the 1860s. It was a set like this that my great-grandpa left, and anyway I ended up with them. And so since I had a set of eyes, I decided I had to use them for something, so I started taxidermy work at that time. I've been interested in that ever since I was big enough to walk, and so all my life I've worked on learning taxidermy work, and so I have lots and lots of things I've done. This is some of my private collection of heads. I have all sorts of different heads and of every kind, and I've done fish and birds and lots of bear and other things. So I've got to edit my videos right now, and so here's my setup for editing. I have it right in my taxidermy workshop where I can, I've got my computer here to edit the videos, and also in this same room I have my rock sawing equipment and stuff, and just a whole lot. And then I've got bins and bins with different types of gemstones that I have, the raw material I have to work with to make things out of. And so I've got lots and lots of projects ahead. I hope I live to be 100 years old. Maybe I'll get half of my projects I have started done by then.